Hi, Mark here. I wanted to talk a little bit today about a new product from Nomad. It's a surface iron, which is kind of unusual to see coming from an Aussie company. But they've listened to the West Coast reps, and they came up with a surface iron piece. But let's go back a little bit on surface iron before we get to the meat of this, which would be these guys. The meat of surface iron. This type of lure goes back a long time. My dad was in the Marshall Islands during the Second World War, got his Purple Heart there, and he came back with some good friendship from the folks that were there, and he brought back some things and a couple of them he gave me as a kid, and I still have and value highly. And they basically were surface lures made out of shell, shell hook, shell, and for the body of it. And they would skip that across the surface of the water and attract a bite. And over the years, and we're talking lots of years, and multi-generations of producers here on the West Coast making surface iron and deep iron products. From a surface iron standpoint, Caddy is well known for their classics, like a Caddy 45, and they do the 45 in a couple of different finishes. The average weight of the surface iron lures has gone anywhere from, about, let's say 2.5 ounces up to maybe 4 ounces typically. Depends on the manufacturer. The 45s come in almost 3 ounces, very, very close to it. Salus 7X is a little bit larger, comes in maybe 3.5 or so ounces. And we've had different styles. Some of them they're trying to use out of a plastic material with reflective stuff on it, dangling around. We've had some with eyes, some without. Some incorporated some of the shapes of others in their designs, like Z-Bar, and with Oct-10, which kind of ripped off Z-Bar, kind of, where you'd have offset hips like the old candy bars, the original candy bars, or Starmans now, that Caddy has, which is off that same shape. But you can see the hips are a little bit offset, and that gives a little different swimming motion. Typically, they've got pretty good sized solid rings on the front side, treble hooks on the rear. These are usually made for catching yellowtail. Although, you can get a fixed hook version that would be more maybe in keeping with only going for barracuda, easier to release the fish. In any event, surface iron's a blast. There's nothing quite like a topwater bite. It's explosive and it's exciting and it's kind of neat to see. Just like the guys fishing poppers. It's an awful lot of fun, and surface iron is a trick. On the West Coast out here, a lot of guys on the party boats would be using 9-foot rods for that. I typically fish an 8-footer. I've got long arms, and as a private boater, you could always move the boat. But a lot of guys will be hurling on 9-foot, even 10-foot sticks. Those are just an impossibility for a lot of guys who fly out for trips out of San Diego to deal with. But we'll have a couple of little options coming for you that may work out in that respect, so you can get some more distance out of your cast, more time on the surface, swimming a lure. You want these things to swim, and usually we look at the speed of retrieve, and you kind of dial that back, crank it back a little bit. 5-to-1 gearing is often what's used on these guys, or close to it. 40, 45, 50 inches per crank, real typical. Now, Nomad. Nomad we know well for their deep divers, the wahoo pieces, tuna pieces, lots of neat lures from these guys. And their surface irons, again, are a unique piece. They took kind of the designs we see with, I mentioned, Oct-10 or Duran. Similarly, you can see the offset hips here. And when we get into Nomad, similarly, we have the offset hips, big solid rings, and appropriate treble hooks on the rear. Treble hooks are attached with the heavy-duty split ring. From Nomad, these are very, very good. They're not going to open up on you. The finishes are quite different. Basically, on the inside, we have a plate. It's not just through wired, it's through metal. And you can see pretty doggone thick on that material. I don't know if this is going to come out very well on the camera or not, but you get the drift. Nice eye, beautiful finish on these things. There is a coating over the internal metal These things weigh a little bit more than your average surface iron. These come in at about 4.5 ounces. So on a cast, you can hurl them a pretty doggone good distance. Which again, the more time you're swimming them, the more chance you have to be bit. Over the metal, there's another kind of hard, but it has somewhat of a soft feel to it, material. And that covers basically the paint job or the decal that's on the internal of the lure. So that part is going to look good for quite some time. A toothy critter will probably scrape these guys, and that's just fine. Some of the best jigs I have are ones that have been pretty well chewed, and they don't look quite like they used to begin with. Given the weight, you could probably let these guys drop down and then swim them on back. But generally, these are made for surface retrieve or just a little under the the surface. So nice little pieces. Mackerel pattern. They do a hot mac, which is a little bit of red to it. Again, you could say that's a wahoo pattern, but it's not. What do they call this guy? Excuse me, Spanish Mac. There's our Spanish Mac. To me, this is more of what we usually see down south as far as a Spanish Mac. Color pattern. But this guy, if I was going down Baja, this would be a dandy pattern to be tossing out there. And of course, sardine, is a great pattern. They've made a number of different patterns. We focused on the bait fish pieces for the most part, although I don't know too many bait fish look quite like that guy lit up. In any event, I wanted this just to be a quick drop in. We just got these guys in last week. They're going up on the website now. We have good inventory to start out with anyway. We'll see how that goes. But if you are into surface iron fishing, and if you're not, you probably should be. These things are well worth sticking out there. I'll say, I'm kind of a purist in tossing a Salis 7X. You got at least three generations of lure makers. Those are made here in this country. The Taddies, those are ringed and hooked here in this country. Paint jobs often here in this country. Those guys come from Asia, China specifically at this point in time, for most of the ones that are sold by Taddy. Salis are all made here. These guys are also produced in China. Just as far as background goes. You don't have the family background like you do with Salis and Taddy, with Nomad, but you do have something that's unique. It's not just another copy of something. It's something that is unique in terms of its finish and the way the doggone things look. And their weight, again, 4.5 ounces, heavier than most of surface irons we toss, but that'll give you greater distance and then probably vary your retrieve speed accordingly if you want the thing to drop down or you want to keep her up on the surface. That's it for the Nomad irons, and we do have a couple more things coming. We've got a new production of rods that are just about done. That's going to be coming up here next. We've got some other lures, JYG jigs, Temple Reef rods. There are a number of things that we need to get back up videos for, because neat gear and need to expose folks to it. So anyway, thanks for watching. Check back in. We'll have some more vids for you. Always, much appreciated the support to the shop. You can always visit us, www.sharkbait.com. Mark out. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.
Sharkbait.